Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'll be talking about Colosseum, which is found in Rome, in Italy, which is the most impressive building. The Colosseum, originally known as the Flavian Amphitheater, this is the building which many people think of when they hear about Rome and the Roman Empire. The Colosseum of today has fallen into a ruinous state, but it's still an imposing and beautiful sight. One can only imagine how great it was during its prime time. The Colosseum was built by Emperor Vespasian, the founder of Flavian dynasty. This is the reason why the building was originally called the Flavian Amphitheater. The construction started in 72 AD and stood completely 80 years later. The huge structure was constructed on top of the park built by previous Emperor Nero. This park included a massive statue of Emperor Nero, which was allowed to remain next to the theater. The statue was known as Colosseum statue, from which the theater's current name Colosseum derives from. The name was further changed towards Colosseum during the Middle Ages. In Italian, the amphitheater is still known as Il Colosseum. Throughout the years, the Colosseum has been damaged several times within its first 500 years. Several earthquakes occurred which led to both external and internal damage on the structure. Lightning also hit the place one time, resulting in a fire which destroyed wooden parts of the amphitheater. Interior, severe damage was dealt to the Colosseum in the 14th century, when a major earthquake caused parts of outer walls to collapse. The result of this can still be seen today, as the whole southern part of the wall is gone. During the Middle Ages, ancient Rome buildings and monuments weren't respected in the same way they were today. For this reason, much of the temple stones was reused to build palaces, churches, hospitals, and other buildings elsewhere in Rome, which has made any large rebuilding projects impossible. Other signs of the medieval spoliation can also be seen on the Colosseum. The bronze clamps which held the stonework together have been hacked out of the walls, leaving numerous marks which still scars the buildings today. During its history, the Colosseum has not only been used for games and events. After the last gladiator and hunting event, it has been used as a church, as a cemetery, and even as a fortress at one point. During the 16th and 17th century, church officials sought a productive role of the old Colosseum. Pope Sixtus V even suggested that the building should be turned into a wool factory, but his proposal fell through. This thought of making a building productive was later abandoned. Instead, several popes had various stabilizations and restorations. Projects initiated. What they didn't know at this time is that the decision was about to make the Colosseum extremely productive in the future without their restoration. Projects, the Colosseum of today would have not been the same throughout 19th and 20th century. The facade had been reinforced and the interior repaired. There has also been a major restoration project, more recently finished in 2000. This project involved cleaning the building in order to deal and combat the effects of air pollution. The size of the Colosseum is imposing. Its elliptical structure reaches 189 meters long. As you can see, it's so big, so huge, wide, and also 156 meters wide also again, wide, and stands almost 50 meters tall. The number of people it accommodates varies, but modern estimated out the figure around 50,000 people can still be in the Colosseum. The architecture was carefully planned in order to fit all these people. Its architects adopted solutions very similar to those used in modern stadiums to deal with the same problem.
The Colosseum had a total of 80 entrances at ground level. Each one was numbered, just like each exit and each staircase. In order for spectators, the sections were based upon class and rank in the society, with the highest slash getting the seats which provide the best view. The Colosseum was not only groundbreaking when it comes to sheer size, it was also one of the most innovative and complex building of its kind. The area in the particular has some very innovative solutions. It consisted of a wooden floor covered by sand, which considered an elaborate underground structure known as the hypergym. The hypergym, literally meaning underground, consisted of the two levels of terrace network of tunnels and cages. Today, the underground is totally exposed, so you can really get a good look at it if you visit the Colosseum interior. The underground, where gladiators and animals were held before contest began. Several tunnels connected nearby stable and gladiators' schools to the hypogym, which allows them to enter the structure. Undetected by raising and rolling several hidden shapes and platforms, both gladiators and wild animals could be summoned instantly into the arena. And while we are at it, one can't talk about the Colosseum without talking about the gladiators. These crazy warriors got their name from the Roman short word gladius, which used by the Roman religiously used by the Roman legionaries. A gladiator was normally a prisoner of the war or a slave who had been given the decision to either stay as a slave or fight in the arena. For the one who got the chance to choose, the decision was most likely hard but easy. Slavery means a slow, often painful death. On the other hand, successful gladiators could become very famous and even earn some money. If they survived enough battles, they also won their freedom by gaining the wooden sword. The gladiators' battles were by far the most appreciated of all shows. Before the battle began, the gladiators always paid homage to the empire's stage with the famous words "Obey Caesar." Those who about to die sought you. The gladiator battles were often those between two combatants matched up against each other depending on what time of the equipment they carried. If one gladiator had been defeated in a duel, but not killed, he could ask for much but raising his arm. The empire then decided his fate by either giving thumbs up or thumbs down.
Action.
The crowds did their best to affect the decision. Others showed that frequently to place in the arena were battle between wild animal and between man and wild animals. The animals were mainly imported from Africa and the Middle East, include creatures such tiger, lions, bears, and panthers. The games are usually held for a whole day or even several days in regulations of the Colosseum. In 1880, Vespasian's successor, Titus, held games 100 days in a row. In the process, thousands of wild animals and gladiators were killed. The theater quickly became the most important political tools of one empire. Emperors used the Colosseum to entertain the public with games. It was here that the emperor met and conquered the people of Rome. The arena continued to be used for contests, well into the 16th century with the gladiatory fights early 15th century. Today, the Colosseum has become one of the Rome's most popular tourist attractions, receiving millions of the visitors each year. Hardly surprising, as the Colosseum is not only one of Italy's most famous buildings, but one of the most famous buildings in the world.
Do you know that terracotta is the most important material to build a Colosseum? It is a limestone that the Romans called lapis lazuli. It's a sedimentary stone made essentially of calcite deposited by calcareous waters. Its mainly used is for main pillar, ground floor, and external wall. Next, the material they use is tuff. It is a stone produced by the cementing the volcanic material followed after eruption. Its color is gray, yellowish, greenish, or brown. It is used in the preparation of special cement as a building stone. It's mainly used for the minor pillar and radial wall. Tar is a brick produced with clay mixed with water and often with sand, straw, and finely ground pozzolana. The mixture was placed by hand into a wooden mold and dried first in the sun. After that, it was placed in the oven at 800 Celsius. Tar usually is decorated for the floor and the wall. Brick is used to make a wall. The material they use to hold the building is called Roman cement. Cement is a building material with a binding agent usually produced by mixed finely ground limestone and clay. It reacts to water by forming a cement that hardens to the consistency of stone. It was used to make the vaulted arch. Next is wood. Wood usually used to make in the underground floor and elevators. And then marble. Marble is a material that used for the seating, for the statues and ornament, drinking function, and as a covering to the outside world as a decoration.
Hello everyone, and now I want to talk about the architecture of Roman Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum was an amphitheater. The Colosseum could hold up to 50,000 people, and it could be emptied within 10 minutes. The 15,000 people were separated by social class. They were divided into 3 levels. The levels that were closer to the arena floor was reserved for the senators and the emperor. The patricians or rich citizens was set here. The majority of people sat in the second level. These people were called plebeians or the middle class. Most of these men were farmers or artisans. The last level, which is the third level, was at the top of the amphitheater. And further from the arena floor, the slave and the woman stood out here. There were no seats for these people. All citizens could easily be kept in the Colosseum because of its size. The Colosseum was a massive structure. It covered over 6 arches of land. From end to end, the Colosseum was 620 feet long, 513 feet wide, and over 160 feet tall. To fill and empty such a large building very quickly would be difficult. The architects come up with a system of arcs and staircases inside the buildings. With over 80 archways with multiple sets of stairs leading to the seats, it would be easily emptied in less than 10 minutes. Underneath the seats, there were a labyrinth of corridors and stairs. The stairways from the first level rose to the second and the third levels. Ordinary citizens would enter the building through one of 76 arches. The other 4 were reserved for the emperor and his family to use. This caused the Colosseum to have a very unique design. The Flavian amphitheater have a very distinct shape. Most of amphitheaters are circular, but the Colosseum was an oval. The Colosseum was constructed in an oval shape to allow everyone view of the events. When the Colosseum was the first built there was no actual floor. All the event would happen on the ground. Later inside the Colosseum, a new floor was added. The new floor was with a wooden support poles. Each pole had a hole with the pole would be kept upright. These wooden poles and boards could be removed for certain events such as mock and sea battles. Both of the theories allows the possibility of a max sea battles. There is debate over whether or not a sea battles was achieved. But there is a defined possibility that water could have easily flooded the Colosseum. Eventually, people constructed a new floor which was made of stone poles and a wooden pole which has rotted away. When this floor was installed in the Colosseum, it was covered with the sand to give the effect of the original floor. Under the new floor, there was a labyrinth of Rome's passageways where performers would get ready, and slaves would raise the lower animals and people up the elevators. The lift opened the trapdoors on the floor. The audience could not see this happening, so it gave the illusion of animals and people coming from nowhere. There were 22 trapdoors along the edge of the floor. Each of the trapdoors had a lift powered by 250 slaves, and this was the major part of the system which made the Colosseum such an exciting attraction to Roman citizens. The Colosseum was an engineering marvel of the time, and today people are still amazed. People don't understand the challenges of building an entire building out of the stone without any modern day tools or equipment. As most of structure to the Colosseum renovated many times, the Colosseum's basement had many unique features that made the shows much more exciting. The basement was another engineering marvel of the time.
The Colosseum is elliptical in shape with its long axis. The 4 arches on the axis of the building were the main entrance. The other 76 arches were numbered for an easier access to the seats. The order of the ground floor, half column, is the Tuscan. On the second floor, the semi-columns are Ionic, and the third floor, it is Corinthian. There is a series of bronze shields was affixed all around the attic on the panels without the windows. The arenas where the shows took part measured of 76 by 44 meters. Its floor was made with wooden planks. All around the arena, there was a wall called podium. During the shows, the arenas covered with yellow sand, which is taken from the hill of Monte Mario. On special occasions, the arenas was covered with specially colored sand. A road was built from Paris to Rome for this purpose. A similar quantity of tough logs, bricks, were also used, thus adapting the resistance of the materials, the loads and thrust that had to be supported. The passages corresponding to the main entrance were decorated with paintings. The travel times logs were connected by iron grips that were removed for a long time ago. The north side of the outer wall is still standing together with the part of the building that is between it and the inner wall, supporting the top floor and practically the whole skeleton of the structure. Under the arenas, the fans had wooden rollers on top. in order to prevent the beast from climbing over. Inside, the seating has a gradient of 37 degrees and the overall height of 48.5 meters was calculated to give a good view of the arenas to the spectators. Inside of the Colosseum, the carrier was all in travertine, now almost completely lost. It was divided into 3 parts, called from bottom to top, podium, gradation, and porticus. The Colosseum, the gradateur, was divided horizontally into different levels. The arena floor was made of wooden planks supported by brick pillars. Some section of the floor was removable or could slide down to the underground to protect the people. The podium was terraced immediately around the arena. In the Colosseum, it was raised about 10 feet above it. Part of the floor of the arenas was made of wood, with removable section for the exit. The stairs were planned in order to allow public between 50,000 and 75,000 people to swift access and exit to keep the different classes of spectators separated. In the valley of the Colosseum, there is a layer of clay under many meters of sand and slits. The ground floor was about 10 to 15 meters lower than it is today. Rain and water from streams gather in the weather and form a marsh or a little lake in the depression. From there, the water reached the valley of the Circus Maximus and then the Tiber River.
So the conclusion is, I hope you realize that the Colosseum is a magnificent stone amphitheater. It was a high honor building that Roman Empire still is today. I would like for you to remember that the Colosseum there was a lot of violent games where people sacrificed their lives to entertain the Roman public. We should preserve the Colosseum just like the Romans did to stop the smoke of Rome from eating away at the travertine covered wall. The building should be kept intact using modern technology so they can show for the next generation.